Proceed.
So on the first line, you see actual occurrences and it references the dates. As far as our financial calendar, we're required to stand by, and also the dates in purple are the dates that are related to the assertions made in the memo. You'll also notice the dates at the bottom. There's attachments that the board has, and I have a few other ones at the end for the press and go forth. It will also be explained as we go through this presentation. Please keep this document handy as I start describing a timeline of what these events occurred. So back to the presentation. On attachment B, on June 27th, the board approved escrow to commit $20 million. This is $20 million that's been in question. So the timeline here.
Trying to make sure you keep the mic close to you. You're kind of fading in and out a little bit, please.
Attachment B details the $20 million escrow. It was approved by the board on June 27, 2011. The motion was made by Ms. Ferguson and seconded by Mr. Barnett to approve the 2011-12 team budget and fund balance escrows. The motion was carried at 5-0. The July 25th date is the day it has to go to the AFR and balance sheet as far as the regular calendar. On September 1st, 2011, the journal entry was made and posted timely in fiscal year 2011, period 13, journal 360. It's important to note this is the same $20 million that it is accused of not doing so the journal timely in September. Mike, would you click the attachment C, please? As you notice in the top left-hand corner, the date is September 1st, 2011. The time was at 15:58 military time, which is 3:58 p.m. I performed the journal entry in question that was in the news and reported as being done in December. The December journal entry had nothing to do with the board-approved escrow. As you notice, it was also signed by Ms. Mullins. It's her signature related to the date when this escrow actually occurred. You can go back to the presentation now, Mike. On September 26, 2011, the board approved releasing escrow in the amount of $8,150,000. This is also provided as attachment D, and it shows that it was committed $3,500, $750,000, $600,000, $3.3 million. A motion made by Mr. Love and seconded by Mr. Barnett. The release of the escrow for 2011-12 year, and the motion carried with a vote of 5-0. On September the 30th, the working budget was due and was sent in on time. On November the 15th, the AFR and balance sheet was sent to KDE. And on November the 15th, there's a statement of certification of final audit due to KDE. On attachment J, the audit certification states, and I fill in the blanks, the Fayette County Public School District certifies that all audit adjustments have been entered into munis and that the annual financial report and balance sheet are in agreement with the audit report and will be transferred to KDE in conjunction with the audit report. Let the data submitted to the board, which is usually during the planning meeting in November. The superintendent must sign it, and I must sign it. If we submit our audit report and it does not match up to our annual financial report and the balance sheet because we did not reclassify those entries that are required by GASB 54, it's rejected by KDE and our audit is not certified. So this is the reason that I have to do reclassification entries, adjusting entries, or correcting entries, as I've mislabeled it for the board. Additionally, in November 29, 2011, I reclassified entries of GASB journals are completed as step 1 as part of the journal, as I discussed earlier. I'm required to do that in 2 phases. The first phase I do it is I look back at what the fund balance was at the end of June 30th after all adjusted entries have occurred. Then I do a second entry if there's anything left in 108770. That's the unreserved account. And I perform that entry on December 7, 2011. Note, this was not December the 6th as reported as the second journal entry, completing reclassifying journal entry. It was actually December the 7th. As part of the journal, and it was done in period 5, journal 1830, which attachment year 2012. On December the 8th, 2011, the board approved the escrow release of $8.15 million, and I did the entry for that also as an attachment G. On July the 5th and 9th, 7 months after these entries, there's an email exchange between the finance director, myself, and the budget and staffing director related to meeting about the new KD directive of escrows being included in the annual financial report. Notice that the directive had to do with 2012. It did not have to do with 2011. And there was subsequently an additional report that I filed with the board, and I asked them, requested, a release of funds on July the 23rd, 2012. That is attachment I. So the email that was reported and sent out was referring to this journal entry. It was not 20 million. It was 13 million. Inside the email, it actually referenced $8 to $10 million, which is completely separate from the $20 million issue that's been discussed. Again, the $20 million journal entry related to the escrow was done on September the 1st. It was not done on December the 7th. The December the 7th entry was a strictly reclassification of the entry. In fact, the release of this escrow to be done timely by the board and by KDE's directives, I left the board meeting that night and performed the journal entry at 8:41 p.m. immediately after the board meeting was over. So it was done the same day that the board approved it on July 23rd. Subsequently, on July 25th, the annual financial report and balance sheet was due. I would like to call your attention to attachment F and F1. This is the journal that was done on December the 7th. This is the journal that's in question. The supporting documentation for that on the 3rd page back of the balance sheet reflects the fund balance is $142,845,201.46 as of December the 7th, 2013 at 6:38 p.m. When I performed my entry and corrected it on attachment F1, the same balance sheet reflects that the fund balance did not change. It's still $142,845,201.46. What this means is that there was strictly a reclassification of money on funds. The fund balance never changed, and there's no way it can affect the budget. Thanks, Mike. Back to the presentation, please. What this boils down to, the timelines are very clear. The question about these transactions, not were they timely, but the ability to read, analyze, and understand the transactions, and that they did occur. This requires skills, knowledge, and expertise to understand the financial statements. These are very hard to understand. This is a conversation that I had repeatedly with the Director of Budget and Staffing, trying to get them to understand it. I don't understand why I came to this point, but it was clearly articulated and described. My lens is very clear on this. The documentation as evidence is very clear. The timeline is very clear. And I welcome OEA, the Audit Public Accounts, our internal auditor, our regular auditors, to come show me any irregularities with any of these journal entries, the timing that they were done and what they were done for.